The 21st century can be described as purchasing power. We live in a society where all the digital tools are used to make you buy more stuff, to create a need that didn't exist in your life but that suddenly became a necessity. We live in a world where we have seen tons and tons of improvement when it comes to the ease of buy that giants like Amazon have created. It only takes a few clicks to find the product that you need, a few more to add it to your cart, and the last one to buy it. And for the most impressive part of this, it sometimes takes less than 24 hours to get to your door, as if it was standing there this whole time, waiting for you to take a decision. All of the commercials are made in such a way that while seen, a need will be created. I need this to be better, or if I have this, I will be happier. We've created a source of dopamine and excitement around our ability to buy and buy and buy. Unfortunately, this dopamine release and happiness lasts for a couple of minutes, days, or weeks sometimes, but never lasts forever. Which is why we are always looking for more, and more, and more. And by we, I think you got it, I mean myself. Now this video is not to flex or anything, far from this, but just to put you in the context of my life and how everything is going to change. I am extremely aware about all of the privileges that I grew up in, and I have most of the time been used to have more than needed. Plenty of toys when I was a child, plenty of clothes when I was a teenager, and plenty of things right now such as some quite decent camera gear and extremely costly devices such as an iPad Pro or an iPhone. Now for the last past years, this fact that I could buy more and more every time turned into a very dangerous thing. The thought that more would make me better. I started to think that I needed to buy something. It could be a t-shirt, a new backpack, a new pair of shoes. To think that when I would have it, then I would start to feel more motivated, less envious of other things, and just a better person. I started to think while looking at other content creators and other people that if I didn't have the same equipment, then I wouldn't be able to make this YouTube channel work because I would be less good than them anyways. So for most part of camera gear, I think it is important to have a great, more or less professional camera and lens to be able to create great content, since now on YouTube everyone is very talented, but for other stuff more doesn't make it better. And I have this example in my mind. I would always see YouTubers making vlogs with this very famous tripod, the GorillaPod, and I started to have this ridiculous craving of having this tripod, convincing myself that the second I would have it, I would feel more comfortable vlogging, I would vlog every day and would finally unlock that creativity and get rid of that social anxiety and fear of what people could think about my work. Obviously this was the most ridiculous thought I've ever had, but it was my way of thinking. Another example that comes to my mind is that I am learning how to master the art of coffee making. I started drinking coffee last year or something, and I learned the technique of pour over coffee making, and it is in fact a real art that takes time and practice to master. And I am very aware of all the plenty great products out there that make coffee, Chemex filters, Kalita filters, and a lot more of them. And a couple of days ago I was watching a YouTube video about a technique of pour over coffee. This guy was using a specific filter which I've known for a long time, and what came up to my mind straight away is that I needed this exact same product, otherwise I will not be able to make good coffee. Now step by step, after all of these examples were happening on a weekly or daily basis, I started to realize that I was doing everything wrong, that gear doesn't make up for no practice or lack of skills, and that buying power doesn't make a long-lasting source of happiness. So things needed to change. I needed to try becoming a minimalist. But not because it is trendy, simply to become more focused on skills, technique, and systems, rather than relying on gear that I sometimes don't even need to achieve something, and keeping on chasing more and more stuff to own. Starting from the beginning, I decided to look up some rules to follow in order to become a minimalist. This is why I started to wear the same shirt every day. I only ate one potato for lunch and dry rice for dinner, and I finally decided to stop changing underwear simply because I'm a minimalist now, right? Okay, of course, this is not true, but here is how I decided to change my life to be less about owning things and more about mastering skills. As I had to start from the beginning, I decided to go in different rooms where my stuff is and to start going through it with one mindset. Do I need this in my life? Quickly, I started to notice an obstacle in my journey, emotional attached to objects. I started realizing that I was keeping some stuff close by even though I was never using and I would never use it anymore simply because I associated a memory or an emotion to it. But after a very long time of approximately 3 seconds, I got rid of it. The first step was to go through my stationery stuff. I was keeping this box that I probably never opened even a single time within the last 5 years, which was full of old pens, pencil, highlighters, and others. During my year at university, I only use a pen once in a while to write down some stuff or to do some brainstorming sessions to figure out who I really am. So I took the box with a big smile on my face and threw it in a bag, ready to be donated. And that way, I reduced my pen collection from 43 to 5. The next step was to take care of my closet. Now, as every art that I try to master, in this case minimalism, I started looking up a lot of stuff related to it on the internet, until I found something very interesting. The Project 333. This project is very simple and it lasts for approximately 3 months, during which you can only wear 33 clothes that you picked out for your challenge, clothes that allows you to work, do sports and chill. So I started to go through my closet in a very tactical way. First started to fold all of my clothes following a strict way of folding, and then I decided to sort these clothes out depending on how much I like it and whether I'll wear it for the next 3 months. After a couple of times walking through my entire closet, I decided to pick out all the clothes that I decided not to wear for this challenge, put them in a box and in a drawer to keep them away from sight. I could have gone fully into it and completely get rid of these clothes, donate them or sell them, but I didn't want to be extreme in my journey, simply because it should be more of a baby steps process. The following step was now to face the absolute clutter hidden in my desk drawers. I bought these Alex drawer from IKEA since I needed some extra space to store university things, desk accessories, and some camera gear. Now, while I tried at the beginning to categorize the objects depending on their sort, camera gear on the second drawer and some in the first one in this organizer from IKEA, some university notebooks and pens on the last drawer, gaming gear on the fourth one, and a bit of desk accessories on the third one. Well, none of them really lasted. It came out to an absolute mess where I would just put things to wherever there was space, regardless of following a strict organization system. Now, to unclutter this part and come from this to this, I simply started wondering whether I was using this specific product or no. And it makes things way easier since you realize that you probably use 20% of all the stuff you own. I step by step managed to drastically reduce the amount of things laying around me, in my drawers and in my closet. I faced a couple of problems, such as the emotional attach that I could have with some products as I mentioned earlier, or a lot of paper that I was keeping as important, which would only clutter my desk since I would just never use them. I would just keep them if I somehow needed them in the future. But I quickly found some solutions. It was to make them digital. I simply sat down, looked through these papers, created a folder for the important ones, scanned them through an app on my phone, and threw the physical version away. Now, the last important part of my journey to minimalism, I had to take care of the biggest source of overwhelming things in my life, my phone. I decided to push things a bit forward and to start getting into digital minimalism. What's great about this and easier for me is that I almost don't use social media anymore, as I went through a 30-day social media detox a couple of weeks ago, and it definitely changed my approach to my phone addiction. To have my first steps into digital minimalism, I created a strategy, getting rid of all the apps from my home screen and keeping only the apps that I use daily. Google Calendar, Notion, online banking, and emails. For the rest, everything is gone. I decided to make it this way so that nothing can overwhelm my brain with useless information or temptation. And if I need an app like Settings or Safari, I can just look up for this specific app and start using it. Now, for some reason, I feel that minimalists are seen as selfish people who don't want to spend money on anything, and that is far from being the truth. If I could resume what minimalism is about for me, I would say that it is about becoming more intentional, less overwhelmed, and more in control. I might not become a traditional minimalist because I, for example, would never say no to different camera gear simply because it opens up for a lot of creativity, nor getting rid of all my furnitures. But I surely want to become step by step more intentional with what I own, stop owning 2 or more similar articles simply because just in case, and step by step acknowledge that more doesn't make me better.